Most people chase money like it's a finish line. They run, they sweat, they sacrifice sleep, and they wonder why it keeps slipping through their hands. Some talk about attraction, others call it energy, but the truth sits deeper. Money doesn't chase movement. It answers command. It bends when certainty speaks, not through force, but through alignment. There's a sound behind every fortune, a vibration so calm it almost feels like silence. You can sense it in the presence of those rare people who never rush. They don't ask. They decide. They walk through life as if reality itself had signed a contract with them before they arrived. And somehow, the world keeps its side of the deal. Doors open, calls come, numbers rise. You've probably felt it before, watching someone who seems almost untouchable, like coincidence itself obeys them. It's not luck. It's law, not attraction, authority. And there's one kind of authority reality never questions. The kind that doesn't flinch. That's what you're about to rediscover. Not how to chase wealth, but how to summon it. Not by shouting, but by remembering the one voice creation always recognizes. Stay with me. Because before this ends, you'll hear the sentence that makes the invisible start to move. It started one night that looked like every other. Late, silent, half-lit by the pale glow of a screen. My life, in that moment, felt like static. Every plan I'd made, every goal I'd chased, suddenly looked small. I had done everything right, followed every blueprint, stayed disciplined, stayed grateful, and yet, nothing responded. There's a kind of quiet that arrives when you've exhausted every effort. It's not defeat, it's exposure. It shows you what remains when the striving stops. I remember looking at that empty screen, my own reflection staring back like a question I couldn't answer. Without meaning to, I whispered, "What else do I have to give?" No reply came, only that heavy silence, the hum of the city pretending not to hear me. But something shifted. I realized I had been speaking to life as a beggar, not as its author. For years I'd asked, visualized, hoped, but never declared. I was fluent in intention, but silent in authority. That realization hit like an echo from somewhere ancient. And for the first time in years, I stopped trying to move the world. I simply sat back, and the world began to lean toward me. That night didn't end in miracles or messages. It ended in stillness, the kind that feels like a door closing behind you and another opening somewhere unseen. Something in me had remembered its position, not beneath creation, but within it. There's another night I think of often. Rain was tapping gently against the window, and I was staring at a balance sheet that told the same old story. Almost. Close. Not quite. That's a hard pattern to live inside, always one breath away from breakthrough. I stared at the numbers until they blurred, and for the first time, I didn't feel frustration. I felt nothing. Blank. No plans left, no next move. And in that stillness, a thought appeared. What if it's not the doing that's broken? What if it's the tone? Every voice I'd followed said to work harder, visualize longer, believe stronger. But what if reality doesn't respond to belief at all, only to certainty? What if creation is like music, and I'd been playing off-key? That question felt alive. I didn't speak it. I felt it. And in that moment, something in the air thickened, like the unseen had started listening. Nothing physical happened. No money dropped. No call came. But it felt like the world had quietly marked my name, as if a system somewhere had logged a new instruction. If you've ever felt that moment when your entire being pauses, when something deep inside whispers, "This means something." Don't ignore it. It's not coincidence. It's recognition. That's your awareness remembering its language. Stay with this message before your mind talks you out of it. Subscribe now if you can feel it. Not for content, but to anchor the energy that's already rising. You'll start noticing it everywhere once you understand. The world moves to rhythm. It's not random, it's responsive, like a pulse, like breath. Every event, every delay, every coincidence carries a frequency, and it always matches yours. Listen closely, and you'll see it's never the words that change reality. It's the tone beneath them, that invisible emotional color that tells life what to do next. Look at the difference between two people in the same storm. One collapses in panic. The world mirrors the chaos. The other exhales, makes coffee, and the tide rearranges for them. Same storm, different tone. It's almost ruthless in its precision. Life isn't echoing what we say. It's reflecting what we are. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every conversation, every delay, every no becomes a mirror, showing your own vibration. That's when the shift begins, when you stop narrating your struggle and start issuing your reality. Not out of pride, but out of awareness. Because there comes a moment when the voice inside you stops asking, "Why me?" and starts saying, "This is mine." And in that quiet declaration, the air changes. The noise softens. The pieces begin to move. You won't need proof when it happens. You'll just know. That's when movement begins. Not dramatic, not loud, but certain. Calls return. Delays dissolve. Numbers begin to align like iron to a magnet. People will call it luck. You'll know better. It isn't luck. It's obedience. Reality has finally met the tone it was waiting for. And from that day on, nothing ever quite stands in your way again. At first you'll doubt it. You'll think it's coincidence, that strange rhythm between what you feel and what happens. But soon the pattern becomes too precise to ignore. Something you needed suddenly appears. A delayed payment clears. An old conversation resurfaces at the exact right time. And you realize reality has started responding. The difference isn't in what you did. It's in what you stopped doing. You stopped begging. You stopped hoping. You began directing. There's a calmness that comes with that. Not arrogance, awareness. The peace of someone who finally remembers the hierarchy of creation. You above circumstance, not beneath it. You as source, not subject. Most people never feel that level of clarity. They drown in motion, mistaking speed for power. But power lives in stillness, the kind of stillness that feels like listening, as if the universe itself has tilted its ear toward you. I remember the first time I felt that silence answer back. It was a Tuesday. Nothing special, no ceremony, no meditation, just an ordinary moment stretched too long. But the air felt organized. Every sound in the room arranged itself like an orchestra tuning before a performance. I could sense that the world was waiting for a tone, not words, tone. So I said nothing. I only thought, I'm done trying to convince life to see me. And that was enough. Something invisible clicked into place, and the pressure I'd carried for years left like air leaving a balloon. No miracle, no applause, just alignment. That's how you know you've entered command, when peace feels louder than progress. From that point forward, I began noticing a subtle order in everything. Meetings would cancel only for better ones to appear. Projects I'd given up on would reignite without effort. Money began moving around me instead of through me. It didn't rush in. It orbited, like it had found a new gravitational center. I realized something powerful. Wealth isn't a prize. It's a reflection of tone. It doesn't arrive to reward you. It arrives to agree with you. And the agreement only begins when you stop pleading for proof. Because every time you beg, you tell the universe you're unsure. And the universe, being obedient, mirrors that uncertainty right back. So when you finally become still, when you breathe without waiting for something to happen, you create the perfect condition for movement. That's when life begins to rearrange itself quietly, not as a favor, but as a response to certainty. You'll know you've crossed that threshold when the small things start aligning. Emails respond quicker. Conversations feel smoother. The timing of everything sharpens until it feels almost scripted. And you realize the entire time, life wasn't ignoring you. It was waiting for you to speak in its native frequency. That frequency is calm, final, deliberate. It doesn't chase. It doesn't question. It decides. And the invisible rushes to obey. That's the real secret behind every fortune, every success story that sounds impossible. It wasn't work alone. It was the tone of inevitability behind the work. Once you touch that energy, you begin walking differently. There's less noise in your movements. You don't explain yourself. You don't need to prove your worth to outcomes that are already yours. People feel it before they understand it. They lean in when you speak, not because of what you're saying, but because something in your presence commands attention. That's the vibration of authority returning home. When you hold it long enough, everything that isn't in alignment naturally begins to fall away. Projects, habits, people. At first it looks like loss, but it's not. It's organization. The field is making room for precision. And the faster you release resistance, the faster life arranges itself into form. It's in those moments of rearranging that most people panic. They think the silence means failure, that the collapse means the dream is dying. But silence is never the end. It's the pause before obedience. Reality listens first, moves second. So when it gets quiet, that's your confirmation, not your punishment. You can sense it if you're still enough. The atmosphere thickens, your body relaxes, and it feels like something larger has taken over the logistics. That's because it has. Creation is mathematical once you're clear. Your decree travels faster than luck, faster than logic. It goes out like a signal, and the material world bends to catch up. The funny thing is, once you live from that place, effort feels outdated. You stop trying to fix situations because you see they were never broken, just unorganized. You don't chase opportunity because you realize opportunity is already orbiting you, waiting for your permission. Money begins moving with precision. Invoices clear early. Clients call back. Ideas flow without strain. It doesn't feel like arrival. It feels like remembering. Remembering the natural order of things. You decide. Reality responds. And this is where the real test begins. Not when things go wrong, but when things go quiet. Because silence is sacred ground. It's the threshold between wanting and commanding. Most people can't handle it. They fill it with noise. But if you can hold that stillness long enough, you'll feel the current beneath it, the hum of creation waiting for your tone. That's the moment the old self dissolves. The one who begged, the one who hustled for worth, the one who thought proof came first. All of that fades, and something older wakes up, a voice that doesn't plead, it declares. The energy in the room changes. Your chest feels heavier but calm, like the air itself has bowed to listen. And that's when you'll know. You're seconds away from command. There's a stillness that feels almost electric. Not peace, not excitement, something deeper. It arrives quietly, like the space between heartbeats, and in that space you sense it. The world is waiting for your word. I remember that moment like it happened last night. No dramatic music, no perfect timing. Just me, the hum of the room, and a balance that didn't make sense. Too many outflows, too few inflows. The math was off, but this time I didn't react. I didn't reach for my affirmations or the next motivational trick. I just sat there. And in the middle of that silence, a realization drifted in like a whisper from somewhere far older than thought. Reality doesn't obey effort. It obeys tone. It felt like remembering a password I had once known, but forgotten. The more I breathed, the stronger it became. The sensation that something invisible was standing at attention, ready to move, waiting for one instruction. And then it came. Not from my mouth, but from somewhere deeper, a place before language. 3 simple words forming a law too ancient to argue with. My decree cannot be broken. The sound wasn't loud. It didn't echo through the room. It echoed through me. The moment those words existed, something in the atmosphere changed. The air felt charged, alert, as if a command had been entered into the code of reality itself. No fireworks, no instant riches, but I could feel the shift, like creation itself had just received new coordinates. That's the thing nobody tells you. Command isn't a performance. It's remembrance. It's not convincing the universe. It's reminding it who you are. That sentence wasn't a spell. It was identification. It told life, I remember. My decree cannot be broken. Not a hope, not a plea, a verdict. A final word that doesn't argue with results. It defines them. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was alive. It hummed with a kind of awareness I can't describe, except to say it felt like being recognized. As if everything unseen suddenly nodded back in acknowledgement. We heard you. When you speak from that place, reality doesn't need convincing. It already knows what to do, because you've stopped acting like a separate being asking for blessings. You've become the source issuing blueprints. That's when the numbers start to bend. Invoices clear earlier than expected. Projects return from the dead. Calls arrive at the perfect second. And the best part? You don't even celebrate it. You don't need to. Because deep down, you already saw it the moment you declared it. That's what real command feels like. Not adrenaline, but inevitability. Not control through tension, but control through tone. Here's what's even stranger. Once you've spoken a true decree, you can't take it back. It lives. It carries itself through the field long after you forget about it. The external world just rearranges to catch up with the order you've already given. You might wake up one morning to find that problems simply dissolved. That money arrived from a place too ordinary to call miraculous. And you'll smile, not in surprise, but in recognition. Because that's when you understand. Reality didn't change. It obeyed. People will ask you what you did differently. You'll tell them the truth, but they won't hear it. They'll look for a method, a secret step, a routine. But there isn't one. The shift isn't in doing, it's in being. My decree cannot be broken isn't a line you repeat to manifest wealth. It's the declaration that ends the chase entirely. It's you saying, I no longer seek permission from the world. The world seeks direction from me. That's the difference between wishing and commanding. A wish hopes for response. A decree expects it. When you stand in that vibration, people feel it. You walk into a room, and time seems to bend around your presence. Negotiations flow smoother. Opportunities tilt toward you. Even the air feels organized. You stop worrying about how. You simply know that what's meant for you is already in motion, because you've set the coordinates, and your decree cannot be broken. That's the hidden geometry of power. Every outcome begins folding itself into alignment the moment certainty speaks. Money, success, love, timing, they're not separate forces. They're extensions of one field waiting for one tone. And once you've spoken from that tone, life stops offering choices and starts presenting confirmations. So if you're listening now and you can feel that quiet pressure in your chest, that's not emotion. That's recognition. That's your awareness, remembering its authority. Let it rise. Don't analyze it. Just breathe and allow it to echo through you, even silently. My decree cannot be broken. Let the words leave your imagination and enter your cells. Feel how different they are from a wish. They don't reach outward, they anchor inward. Because from this point forward, you don't manifest through repetition. You manifest through identity. You speak once, and reality remembers. That's how command works. It's not dominance, it's resonance. You're not telling life what to do. You're harmonizing with what was always true. Once that tone leaves you, the rest of creation simply falls in line. And the silence that follows isn't absence, it's completion. The hum of an equation already solved. You'll notice it in the smallest details. Emails returning faster, traffic clearing without reason, people showing up at impossible timing. It doesn't feel supernatural. It feels organized, as though reality has just become obedient. And all of it began with one sentence. A decree that carried no force, only finality. My decree cannot be broken. After I spoke those words, nothing looked different, but everything felt rewritten. That's how power moves, quietly, invisibly, without applause. At first, it looked like coincidence. A message returned, an invoice cleared, timing too perfect to be random. Then it became obvious. Reality wasn't testing me. It was aligning. Money began to orbit differently. Not rushing in, not running away, just following command. That's when it hit me. Wealth doesn't chase action, it follows certainty. And once certainty becomes your state, life relaxes into order. People started mirroring my calm. Even chaos started listening. Because when you stop asking and start deciding, the world stops resisting and starts arranging. No force, no chase, just flow. Everything began folding into place, not because I was lucky, but because my tone was final. From that day on, I never needed to repeat it. The energy was set, the order placed. And through every shift, one truth stayed unshaken. My decree cannot be broken. There comes a silence that doesn't ask questions anymore. It doesn't wait. It simply knows. You wake up lighter. Your mind feels clear. Even time seems to bend around your decisions. That's the real shift. Not in strategy, not in effort, in awareness. When you remember who gives the order, the universe remembers how to respond. Money begins to appear in ways too natural to call miraculous. The right people call. The right numbers appear. And you realize, none of it was new. It was all waiting for tone. From this point forward, you don't chase. You don't beg. You simply decide. Because now you speak from the highest truth. My decree cannot be broken. That's what real wealth feels like. Not noise, not chase, but calm authority that the world bends to meet. Then go live as if the universe already heard you. Because it did. If you felt that shift, don't let it fade. Anchor it. Write it in the comments below. Not for engagement, for remembrance. And if this message met you at the exact moment you needed it, subscribe before you go. Because here, we don't chase abundance, we embody it. Until next time, walk in silence, move in certainty, and let reality keep obeying. Because from this moment forward, your decree cannot be broken. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.